G'day guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be looking at another passage in the book of Song of Songs and talking about love. So let's get right into it. Now, the book of Song of Songs, if you're familiar with it, is actually a compilation of several different songs or poems. And basically I'm going to break down these poems and just go through them. And today in this video, I'm going to be looking at chapter 1, verses 2 to 4. And this is considered the first poem in the book of Song of Songs. So if we read it, it says, "May he kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. May your oils have a pleasing fragrance. Your name is like purified oil. Therefore the maidens love you. Draw me after you and let us run together. The king has brought me into his chambers. We will rejoice in you and be glad. We will extol your love more than wine. Rightly do they love you." So here in this first section of the book, we can see that the woman is expressing her desire for the king using the senses of touch, taste, smell, and hear. And she's really expressing her desire to basically be brought into the marital chambers of the king. Now, in the first verse where we read, "May he kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine," she's really expressing her desire to be kissed by him with the kisses of his mouth. And she considers his kisses to be an expression of his love. A love that she describes as being better than wine. In the New International Commentary, it says, "Drinking wine intoxicates, and kissing the woman arouses the man, making him light-headed. Indeed, she insists not only that the man's love is like wine, but that it is better than wine." Now, it's important to note here that the author is basically expressing and saying that kissing is an expression of intoxicating love. Now, many of you may be in a relationship who are not yet married. And basically, you know, these days a lot of people can think that there's nothing wrong with kissing. It's my way of expressing my love for that person. But really, in reality, kissing does lead to other things. Many people think, you know, kissing is a harmless act. But we know that, you know, really kissing leads to other things that really should be saved for marriage. And so just as wine intoxicates a person, so does kissing, which is why, like I said, it really should be left for marriage. But maybe that will be another video for another time. I do have some thoughts on that topic, so yeah, maybe stay tuned and I may get a video out regarding that in the future. In the book of Song of Songs, 3 times the reader warns that you know, do not arouse or awaken my love until she pleases. And we can read this in chapter 2 verse 7, chapter 3 verse 5, and chapter 8 verse 4. Now, if we go on in verse 3, it says, "Your oils have a pleasing fragrance. Your name is like purified oil. Therefore the maidens love you." So here the woman begins to discuss the king's scent, his cologne, and basically describes it as a pleasing fragrance. She basically describes his name as purified oil, and to hear his name is like smelling a pleasing fragrance. Now, this pleasing fragrance, or, you know, to hear his name, is most likely referring to his reputation, his character, his reputation and his character being like a pleasing fragrance. And then the woman goes on and says, "Therefore the maidens love you." And this is very important because, you know, individual women can easily be, you know, deluded, thinking that the man that they feel like they're in love with or, you know, really have strong feelings for is a good man. But it's not often the case. Now, I want to give you an example. My sister-in-law, for example, she once fell in love with a man who was serving 8 years in prison, and really she thought that he was the most wonderful man, the most amazing man in the whole world. But can we really say that this man was the most amazing man in the world if he was serving 8 years in prison? I don't think so. And I think there were many people at the time that did not agree with her. So whenever a woman falls for a man, she really should be asking, what do other godly women think of this man? Here in this passage, the woman can see that the maidens or the virgins of Israel see the reputation and character of the king in the same way that she does, because the maidens also, desire him. And so this idea that he's a good man must be true, because other people, other maidens, young virgins are desiring him as well. Now, in the next verse in chapter 4, it says, "Draw me after you and let us run together. The king has brought me into his chambers. We will rejoice in you and be glad. We will extol your love more than wine. Rightly do they love you." So here the woman is expressing her desire to run away and be alone with the man, with the king in his chambers. When a couple gets married, the man will take her into his chambers to consummate the marriage. And we can see examples of this in the Bible. If we look at, say, Genesis chapter 24, verse 67, that is about the story of Isaac and Rebekah. You can look at Judges 15, verse 1, where Samson is wanting to go into the room of, Delilah. And so this chamber, is where the woman will rejoice and enjoy his love. Now, John MacArthur says it is better to understand this passage as a desire of her heart, where it says, "Let the king bring me into his chambers," rather than a statement of fact. Now, this really is a picture of Christ and his church. Most commentators, whether Christian or Jewish, see Solomon and the woman as a type and shadow of God's relationship with Israel and the Messiah's relationship with his people. Now, since Christians believe that Jesus is the Messiah, many Christian commentators have seen the king as being Jesus and the woman as being the church. So this poem can symbolically represent the church's desire for Christ to return to his bride. True Christians also long to have intimate fellowship with Christ.